Hello again, everybody. David Clary, Lee Wexler here at Carson Newman University, getting set for Oak Ridge High School baseball, the Region 2 championship ball game. The Wildcats of Oak Ridge taking on the defending state champion Farragut Admirals in what is essentially for the championship. First time the TSSAA has ever made the region tournaments all across the state a series format. Baseball is a series format, and it's about time they have done that. Most of the games over the years obviously have been single elimination ball games, but both teams were winners last night, and the losers of last night's games are still alive and have an opportunity to play and get into a sub-state ball game. But this game today, the first one here at 11 o'clock, is for the championship of the region. The winner is the champion and will host the sub-state coming up next week, while the loser has to win a second game later on today at 4 o'clock against the winner of Hardin Valley and the Central Bobcats. The two teams are warming up down below us. Lee Wexler joins us. Lee, our first broadcast of the year together. Did several last couple of years, but big ball game for Oak Ridge and kind of unfamiliar territory for them, but this is familiar territory for the Admirals.
Yeah, I mean, the Admirals, they do this every year. This is what Farragut's known for. Farragut, they are the Maryville of baseball. Maryville is known for, competing for state championships, going deep in the postseason every year. Well, that's the way Farragut is in baseball, and everyone really in the Knoxville area probably knows that. And the Oak Ridge Wildcats find themselves in a region championship game here today against what seems like really for the last maybe 20, 30 years, one of the most dominant programs, really not just in Tennessee, but pretty much the Southeast. Farragut, they've been a top-ranked team in Tennessee, in the Southeast, and Oak Ridge, they have themselves a heck of a challenge here today. But, Oak Ridge, they have been waiting for a moment, a region berth like this. Big win last night over Hardin Valley, and, as you said, this year it's changed. It's a double elimination, so Hardin Valley and Central, who Farragut beat last night, those teams are still alive. And, the Wildcats, this is where you want to be. Obviously the game has moved. Was at Central. The region tournament was supposed to be at Central, and I'm not sure why. I'm sure you can probably touch on that. We are now at Carson Newman. If our viewers can see, we are not at the same field as last night, and this will be the final day of the region tournament. It's a 2-day tournament. Only 2 teams will advance. One team will get to host the sectional. The winner of this game between Oak Ridge and Farragut will host the sectional. And Oak Ridge obviously certainly hopes it's them hosting a best 2 out of 3, which will be held sometime this next week. Oak Ridge certainly will want to be hosting that. And the loser of this ball game will have to wait for the Hardin Valley Central ball game, which is coming up after this. So the loser will have to wait for the winner of that ball game. The loser of this one and the winner of Hardin Valley Central will then play later on this afternoon, this evening, whenever that time comes. And they will be playing for a sectional berth as well. But that team that gets the berth to the sectional, they're going to have to go on the road to places like Kingsport. I don't think Kingsport's in it this year. Science Hill, Boone, I think I saw. And we'll probably run down some scores here. But I think I saw Science Hill won yesterday, and maybe Daniel Boone. So we'll kind of keep everyone updated. Obviously, we hope this is the only broadcast we get to do today, because if Oak Ridge wins, they are the Region 2 champions, and they get to host a sectional. And the coaches are meeting at home plate. And, David, would you like me to run down the starting lineups?
Yes.
All right. Let's start with Oak Ridge. Leading off, playing shortstop, is number 11, Caden Black. Pitching and batting second for the Wildcats is Mikey Teasley. Batting third at third base, number 2, Tyler Pickens. Batting fourth in right field, number 7, Jacob Franklin. Batting fifth in center field, number 12, Richie Ferreira. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 9, Eddie Tan. Batting seventh at second base, number 5, Jason Slay. Batting eighth at first base, number 23, Cam Welch. Batting ninth and catching, number 4, Kyron Welch. And playing left field, not hitting, is Izzy Mitchell. I didn't write down his number. I don't know why I did that, so we'll have to get that back up. Rookie mistake there, I guess. But looking over at the defending state champions, Farragut Admirals, leading off, playing shortstop, number 2, Lucas Buckner. Batting second in right field, number 6, Landis Davila. Batting third at second base, number 10, Jake Merrick. Batting fourth at first base, number 8, Eli Evans. Batting fifth at third base, number 1, Jet Johnston. Batting sixth in center field, number 17, Brendan Siegler. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 44, Cooper Schultz. Batting eighth and catching, number 3, Gavin Brewer. And batting ninth in left field, number 14, Mark Underwood. Pitching for the Admirals today is number 24, Michael Delph. David?
Thanks a lot, Lee. We are a few moments away from the start of this ball game. We've yet to have the national anthem. You mentioned how, this team is a perennial power in the Southeast and Tennessee. They have won state championships in 1982, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2014, 2019, and in 2022. That's 11 state titles since 1982. Contrast that with Oak Ridge. The Wildcats have never won a state championship. They've only been to the state tournament on 2 different occasions. In fact, it has been 30 years until last night that the Wildcats had ever won a region championship ball game. And that last win came in 1993, and that was in the region championship game against the Farragut Admirals. Since that time, the Wildcats, in the single elimination part of this tournament, have lost in the first round. So the Wildcats have got that monkey off their back, and now they're going to try to win their first title since 1993. But as we've said, this is against Farragut. This is the defending state champions. Wildcats and Admirals, 2 different kinds of teams, but both in the same position, both in the same situation where they can get a chance to host a sub-state. This is the Region 2 championship game. The starting lineups for the Wildcats have been announced, and they are lining up on the first base side. The Farragut Admirals, it looks like they've got twice the number of players we have, but you can only play with 9, well, actually 10 at a time if you have a designated hitter. So don't worry about the size, but just to look at the size of their kids, I've always been amazed at just how big, bulky and strong are the Farragut baseball players, and that is why they have won 11 state championships in baseball since 1982. The announcement of the starting lineups still continuing down on the field. In a moment, we'll go down to the field for the national anthem. This game is being played at Carson Newman. I think Lee basically didn't really explain why, and I guess the reasoning was they thought that there was going to be a lot of rain last night, which never came, so they moved it to here where there is a turf field. Now our national anthem. It's our national anthem here from Carson Newman University, and we're just moments away from the start of this Region 2 title ball game between the Wildcats and the Farragut Admirals. The 2 teams heading back to their respective dugouts. The Wildcats wearing their predominantly gray jerseys with cardinal numerals, while the Admirals are wearing kind of a brown and tan camouflage with a little blue, white numerals, white baseball pants. Oak Ridge coached by Travis Free in his 5th year. The Wildcats 22-12 on the year. School record for most wins in a season for an Oak Ridge team is 25, and that happened in 1991. That was a banner year for the Wildcats, although they only made it to the region championship game, losing to Farragut, losing to Central, that is. And, that was the Todd Helton years. And, we had some great ball teams back in the early 90s, but the Central Bobcats had just a little bit better. They had Bubba Trammell, Chris Freeman, Todd Helton, who all played professional ball. And Todd Helton, obviously, a great career for the Colorado Rockies. Bubba Trammell played for several teams in the NLB. And I think Chris Freeman, a standout pitcher, was I don't think he made it all the way to the big leagues, but he had a pretty long minor league career before injuries took him out. Just about to get set. Farragut obviously is the home team today. I don't know how that was determined. Although District 3 is hosting, you would think that Oak Ridge would be the home team, but maybe they did it on a coin toss.
Yeah, not sure how this works. I mean, I guess it's, a coin toss, but I mean, like I said, we've talked about how dominant Farragut has been in years past and how dominant they've been this year. They finished, you've probably touched on it, they finished third in their district. And they finished runner-up in the district tournament, so this is going to be a heck of a challenge for the Wildcats. And they're capable of beating anybody. They really are. And don't let the name on the other team's jerseys, be intimidating.
Last night we saw the Central Bobcats take on the Farragut Admirals, and Central got walloped on their home field, 18-1. Caden Black leads things off for the Wildcats. Caden has been the starting shortstop for the Wildcats for the last several years. Appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company for paying our broadcast fee to broadcast this game on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. And here's the first pitch of the ball game. It's hit foul over the top of the Farragut dugout and the Carson Newman baseball complex, their field house, out of play, and the count is 0-1. Caden stands in. He's a left-handed hitting junior. Pitch to him is up high, a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. We're at Carson Newman University. Used to be Carson Newman College. Kind of a smaller, well, the field is big, but the stands area smaller than I would have thought, honestly, with the tremendous program they've had with Griff, their coach, for several years here at Carson Newman. Their football stadium right behind us is a tremendous facility, as we got a chance to see last season in a scrimmage game. 2 balls and 1 strike to Caden. The wind, the pitch to the plate, that's high again. 3 balls and 1 strike. Last night in the Central ball game, Farragut gave up a run in the first inning, but did not give up anything after that. And they lost, Central did, 18-1. 3 balls, 1 strike to the leadoff man, Caden Black. We all know he's got great speed. Love to have him on base early. The wind, the pitch to the plate, cut on, fouled back to the screen, and we got a full count. Good crowd on hand here. Unfortunately, it's so far away from both home bases, but Central felt that their field couldn't hold any more rain if it did rain. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch, cut on, a miss. And that is a swinging strikeout, and that is out number 1 here in the top of the first inning. Lee, I didn't ask you, are you keeping the book?
I am. I'm doing my best to do camera and stats.
Yeah, unfortunately, because we are so far up here, we don't have our regular crew, and it was early for the high school guys as well. Here comes the freshman, Mikey Teasley. Had a double in the first inning of yesterday's game against Hardin Valley Academy. The freshman takes a pitch high. 1 ball, no strikes, the count. First inning, Oak Ridge and Farragut. Thanks for tuning us in. Mikey back in. He'll be the pitcher today. Freshman getting a start in a region championship ball game. Hits the ball foul off the screen, and the count is 0-2. As I mentioned, J.G. Mullins Construction Company paid our rights fee, the TSSAA charges, $250 a ball game. If we play a third ball game, we'll have another sponsor later on. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's down low, a ball. And the count is 1-2.
David, I think it's 2 balls, 1 strike. It's early.
Yes, it is. And I've got an umbrella shielding me from the sun, so I can't see. There's a pitch, evidently a little outside, and the count is 3 balls and 1 strike. Outside and low, I would guess. I think the Farragut pitcher thought that was strike 2. And maybe They were going to get a little help from the guys in blue today. Here's the 3-1 pitch to Mikey. Hit foul. Back our way and over towards the football field and onto it. And the count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. We set up. They have a nice press box, but the view was not going to be great. It was very cold in there, though. The air conditioner was working fine, but it wouldn't have been a great view for us. Here's the 3-2 pitch, hit on the ground, third base side. Fields it on a convenient hop, throws high and throws it away. Mikey Teasley's heading towards second. The ball is tracked down by the first baseman. The third baseman had plenty of time, fielded it, kind of bounced one time, then threw way high to the first baseman, and the Wildcats have a runner in scoring position. Wildcat batter now will be the District 3 Player of the Year, and that would be Tyler Pickens. Tyler was the winning pitcher last night in the win over Hardin Valley. Picked up 2 hits as well. As I mentioned, he was the District 3 Player of the Year. Wildcats have a courtesy runner. Eli Baldwin, the senior, is going to take over for Mikey Teasley, who's the pitcher. And Tyler stands in. Tyler's a undefeated pitcher this year and batting over 500. Great addition to the Wildcat program. Wildcats with their first scoring threat of the night. Baldwin takes his lead. A big one off of second. And the pitch to Tyler is way up high. Across the letters, and the count is 1-0.
Well, not sure what happened over there at third with Teasley's ball. It's Johnson over there at third. He just kind of let it go, and this is where the Wildcats have to take advantage of an Admiral's mistake.
1 ball, no strikes. Tyler stands in. The pitch to him. Hit well. Right side foul. Right fielder gives it a look, but it's off to the right and below the football bleachers. One thing I don't know if you've noticed this, Lee, but we have set up in the bleachers on some aluminum, and every time I sit down on this metal chair, I get a shock. And hopefully, I always thought maybe I would die broadcasting, and I hope it's not today here at Carson Newman. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch to Pickens is up high above his head, and the count is 2-1. Joe Gaddis in the house here. I see down to our left, athletic director of the Wildcats. Baldwin takes his lead off of second base. Scoreless game, top of the first, Region 2 championship game from Carson Newman. Pitch is a ball, I guess, and the count is 3 balls and 1 strike. Umpire squeezing the strike zone early.
Yeah, and Delph, he's kind of been around the zone a little bit. All 3 Oak Ridge hitters so far have gotten into 3-ball counts. They're making Delph work out there, and early game, 11 a.m. for the winners bracket to be going on.
Very sunny, hot day here. Here's the 3-1 pitch to Tyler. Swung on and missed. And the count is full again. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Richie Ferreira on deck. I believe maybe it's Jacob Franklin looking at the book. A little bit behind us. We don't have an ideal broadcast spot. It's perfect for the camera, but we don't have a desk or anything. And I've got an umbrella in front of me. Tyler back in. Baldwin takes a huge lead off of second. 3-2 pitch. Hit foul. Just barely got a piece of it. And the count remains full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Not the crowd we had last night over at Central, but as I mentioned, it's an early morning ball game, and unfortunately, it's a long trip for both teams. Oak Ridge, obviously is about almost an hour drive from Oak Ridge, not quite as far for the Central fan base, but still a trip. 3-2 pitch to Tyler Pickens. Nope. For that, he chases Baldwin back to the bag at second. We are scoreless, just underway. Wildcats and Admirals. Two teams used to play on a regular basis. Haven't played in a while. 3-2 pitch. Hit foul again. Off to the right side and once again onto the football field. And Lee, what a beautiful football complex they have here.
Yeah, it's a nice little football field. Carson Newman, everyone knows, a little smaller school, but yeah, nice turf field, and it's a nice little stadium.
Several national championships in football under the great Ken Sparks. 3-2 pitch once again to Tyler Pickens. Hit in the air, foul again. Off to the left side this time and out of play. And you're right, Lee. Tyler and the rest of the Wildcats here in the first inning making him work on what might be the hottest day so far in baseball season. Hot sun bearing down, and you want to tire this guy out. They used only, I guess, 2 pitchers last night in the easy win over Central. Baldwin at second base. Tyler back in, 3-2 pitch once again. Hit in the air this time, deep to left. Tagging at second. I don't think he's going anywhere. The left fielder makes the catch. It was a high fly ball. He went back on it, staggered a little bit. I think it got caught up in the sun. He didn't see it, then picked it up and makes the catch for the second out. Batter now for the Wildcats will be the Wildcat senior, one of the few guys on this team who has been with Coach Free since the beginning. That would be Jacob Franklin, hitting in the number 4 spot. Off of arm surgery, as most Oak Ridge fans know, was a mainstay pitching for the Wildcats a year ago, but hasn't been able to do as much of that this year after his shoulder surgery. His brother Alex will be getting shoulder surgery coming up later on this month. Kind of shredded labrum and dislocated shoulder. Those Franklin boys have had it rough. Let's see if Jacob could knock in the first run of the ball game. Cut on and missed. And the count is 1 ball and 1 strike.
I guess I misspoke. My mom is just giving me crap. She's texting me right now. I guess I refer to the football field as the baseball field, so it's early, folks.
And it's hot. And Lee's out in the middle of the sun, too. I'm under an umbrella. 1 ball, 1 strike. Baldwin takes his lead off of second. The pitch held off, and it's 2-1. I guess, Lee, I don't know if you've seen Jacob since last year. He's kind of changed his hairstyle, as you might notice.
I'm used to him having kind of that longer hair, and I'm just not seeing that this year. So I don't know what inspired him to maybe get a haircut.
I think he was just very tired of it. He had grown it since the 6th grade, and it was down to his shoulders, but it's cleanly cropped now. He swings and foul tips that one. The count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Wildcats have a runner in scoring position. Eli Baldwin, he reached on a throwing error by the Farragut third baseman. 2-2 pitch will be made the moment. He glares back at Eli, and back to the bag he goes. 2 outs here, 1 on for the Wildcats, top of the first inning. Region 2 title ball game here from Carson Newman. Jacob Franklin back in. The pitch to him. Takes strike 3, and he knew it. And that is the 3rd out of the inning. The Wildcats pick up a base runner. They make the Farragut pitcher work, but no run score for the Wildcats. We go to the bottom half of the first inning here at Carson Newman University in this Region 2 championship ball game, the Wildcats and the Farragut Admirals, and we'll be back to Carson Newman in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson-Newman University. The Wildcats and the Farragut Admirals, Region 2 title ball game. Starting on the mound for the Wildcats today is the freshman Mikey Teasley. Teasley, a true freshman, obviously. He's about 14 years old, getting a chance to start in a region title ball game against the defending state champions. Doesn't get any better than that, as the first pitch to him is the ball. Going to have to get used to the mound. I think he looked in at his catcher, Kyron Welch, and said, hey, that one's on me, as it was way up high. You got to figure he's going to be a little pumped, being a freshman. Here is the 1-0 pitch. It's 2-0. Why don't you run down the first three batters in the Farragut lineup?
Well, we got Lucas Buckner, Landis Davila, and Jake Merrick due up for the Farragut Admirals.
I'll set the defense for the Wildcats in a moment. Teasley comes in, the pitch is cut on and fouled back to the screen. At first base, we've got the freshman, Camden Welch. The second baseman is the senior, Jason Slay. The shortstop is junior, Caden Black. The third baseman is senior, Tyler Pickens. The left fielder is the junior, Izzy Mitchell. The center fielder is the sophomore, Richie Ferreira. And the senior in right is Jacob Franklin. Junior Kyron Welch is the pitcher. Here's the pitch. That one's up high again. 3 balls and 1 strike. As I said, Lee, you know, you're in a region championship game. You're a 14-year-old starting the ball game. You got to figure there's a little bit of nerves. I've asked him about that, and he says he's played so much travel ball in the past, he doesn't get nervous. Here's the pitch. That's a called strike. He's got a good fast ball. He's got a good breaking pitch. He's been a starting third baseman all season for the Wildcats, and he's pitched some. He's just an all-around good player, a great prospect for the Wildcats, and I think eventually will be a big-time college player for somebody. 3-2 pitch, that one's up high, and so the Farragut Admirals have a leadoff man aboard with a leadoff walk, and all of the pitches that were out of the strike zone, Lee, were up high.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make some adjustments here, and you know, I mean, you said he was 14 years old, and I mean, someone's got to throw and someone's got to step up, and you know, that's the case for Teasley.
Left-handed batter here for the Admirals, and of course you're working on an infield that's artificial turf, including the mound. It's not real dirt out there; it's a carpet. That pitch is a called strike. No balls and 1 strike. Your field at Riverdale High School's infield. How does it play to play on an infield, including the dirt area that is carpet? We'll come back to that question to you in a moment. 1 strike the count. Runner at first for the Admirals. We're in the bottom of the first inning. Scoreless ball game. That pitch is hit in the air. High. Second baseman Jason Slay back on it. He's called off by Jacob Franklin, who makes the catch for out number 1.
Well, I mean, to answer the question, I never played on it because they installed it, I think, a year or two after I had left. It's easier to go from the grass and the dirt to turf rather going from turf to grass. And something else I've never really done is pitch on a turf mound. These guys are used to pitching on dirt, so that's kind of something I don't really know about. But, you know, the turf, that's pretty easy to pick up on. It takes a little bit. Got to take some ground balls, take some infield. But, you know, these guys, they'll get used to it pretty quick.
I was actually thinking the hardest transition would be that turf mound, to be honest with you, because they're used to, as you said, pitching on dirt. First pitch is a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. We've got 1 out. Farragut has a runner at first in a scoreless ball game. Region 2 title ball game from Carson-Newman. Teasley's pitch on the outside corner at the knees, and the count is 1-1.
Jake Merrick batting, second baseman for the Admirals.
Runner takes his lead off of first. Camden Welch, the freshman first baseman for the Wildcats. It's a short lead. He's going to draw a throw, and easily back to the bag he goes. Farragut, the defending state champions, and I mentioned they've won 11 titles since 1982. Perennial powerhouse. If they're not winning state titles, they're at the state tournament, and that's where the Wildcats would like to be. It's been since the 70s since they've been there. Love to go back at some point. Pitch to the plate, looked pretty good from up here. Ridge fans thought it was good. You can hear the murmur of the crowd here. Count is 2-1. Last night, Oak Ridge defeated Hardin Valley Academy 10-6. Farragut beat Central 18-1 to reach the title ball game. Those two teams will be playing after this game. The winner of this game is the region champion. Pitch is ripped to left field. and it's going to go in for a base hit. Izzy fields it and comes up slowly and throws it into. Probably should have gone into second base with the throw, but he threw it to his cutoff man, the shortstop, Caden Black, and the Admirals have runners at second and third with one out.
I'm not sure Merrick was going to get thrown out at second there, but another big bat here in the Admirals lineup, Eli Evans, first baseman.
Right-handed hitter has words with the home plate umpire as Kyron Welch, the Wildcat pitcher, is out to talk with Mikey. It's a young team, Oak Ridge is. We've got a couple key seniors, obviously, with Pickens, and we'll see Eddie Tan later. Farragut with a scoring opportunity. The Wildcats had a runner at second base with one out. Failed to score, but the Admirals have a better shot here with two on with one out. And their number 4 hitter batting against Teasley. The pitch to him bounces away, and that's going to score a run. Kyron had trouble picking it up, and ball still live. I'm not sure why Kyron didn't. I think he thought it might have gone stuck between the rail, but he kind of stopped, and the run did score. And the other runner moved to third. I'm kind of surprised why. I guess Kyron just couldn't see it.
He missed the ball, couldn't see it out of the hands, I guess. And then when it got by, I don't know who that hit. Did that hit Welch or the umpire? And then when it got to the backstop, he couldn't find it again. But only one run scores. It's a man at third with one out. And Oak Ridge, their defense is playing normal right now.
1-0 our score. Farragut takes the lead. We're in the first inning. They've got a runner at third. Teasley has a 1-strike count. The pitch. Took something off of it, and it's a little outside and low, and that evens the count at 1-1 strike. This is the Region 2 championship. If Farragut wins, they are the champions. If Oak Ridge wins, they are the champions. Whoever loses has an opportunity to make a sub-state by beating the winner of the next game, as that pitch is up high, and the count is 2-1. It's kind of a different format. In the past, it's always been single elimination. That has been the past format. Till last night, the Wildcats had not won a region ball game in 30 years. Believe it or not, they've been in the region. They've lost every first-round ball game. There's a nice pitch there by Mikey, and the count is even at 2-2 strikes. I think the most recent loss, thinking back to 2011, that was to Maryville. Wildcats have lost to South Doyle and Farragut several times in the region tournament. Last region championship for Oak Ridge came in '93. Pitch is high. Another full count, 3-2 strikes. Lee made a drive all the way from Murfreesboro to do the ball game today. Had to get up super early to get here. He broadcast with me the last couple years and had not seen the Wildcats this season. So he pointed out to me, and I agree with him, it's kind of a different team than we saw on the field a year ago. 3-2 pitch. Down low and scoots away once again. We have a play at the plate, and he is safe. Ball bounced away from Kyron, and it is 2-0, and that is a walk. And the Admirals have an early 2-0 lead here. And they've scored both runs on either pass balls or wild pitches.
Yeah, both runs via pass ball, and you're just going to have to let the Admirals put the ball in play here. You're going to have to rely on your defense. One thing Welch there is he's going to get the ball, kind of took a look back at the runner. That's one of those where you just got to go get the ball, and your pitcher's got to cover the plate quickly, and you're just unable to do so.
Farragut has a runner at first. 2 runs in, 2-0 Admirals. The District 4 runner-up. Pitch to the plate is down low a ball. 1 no strikes. Who's this?
This is the third baseman, Jet Johnston, and I believe he's out of Texas, so a transfer from out of state. I think he's been with Farragut a few years now.
Right-handed hitter, Mikey Teasley wears the number 3, works from the stretch, looks at the runner first, pitches down low, hits the mid of Welch, and it's a ball, and it's 2 no strikes. He's just barely missing. Some of his pitches have been high for sure, but his pitches that have been low have just been barely either too low or just outside. Once again, Mikey checks the runner at first. And the 2-0 pitch. There's a called strike. And we got a 2-1 strike count. kind of toasty here, isn't it not, Lee?
Yeah, I think we've emptied out your little sunscreen bottle there.
Well, that's not good. We might have another ball game to go. Hopefully not. Pitch to the plate, just a little bit low. He was consistent when the Wildcats were batting with the low pitch too, so the batters will need to adjust to that. Runner at first, 3 balls and 1 strike. Teasley comes to the plate, way outside this time. That's another ball, and that is another walk. So Mikey just struggling to find the strike zone right now.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've said he's young, and I mean, like I said, you have to throw strikes and make them hit it. I mean, you know, if they hit it, you've got 8 other guys or 7 other guys behind you. You got your catcher, and we're gonna get, I think we're gonna get a little talk. I think is it Tyler Pickens over there at third. We're just gonna kind of calm him down. You know, just got to get in there, get in the strike zone, make Farragut put the ball in play, and let your defense work.
Yeah, this conversation taking a while. The home plate umpire wandering over to talk to the Farragut coach to the left, not breaking up the conversation at all. I don't really know what that conversation is all about. And maybe the umpire has just told the Farragut people they've got to stay inside the lines of the dugout. There's a line drawn. There's no fence protecting. You know, in high school, you got a fence that kind of protects the people in the dugout. This is a college field, and there is no protection. And the Farragut players were just across the line, I guess. That's my best bet. The pitch to the plate is a called strike. No balls and 1 strike. Farragut has scored 2 times. Let's update the scoreboard. 2 times here in the first inning. Lee's got so many things to do here. 1 strike the count. Runners at first and second. The pitch hit on the ground. In the left field, that's a solid base hit. Izzy fields it cleanly, comes up with it and throws it into the infield, and the Admirals have the bases loaded. Hard hit ball, and it's one thing you notice about the turf. The ball, once it hits the turf, it scoots through there pretty fast, and the bases are loaded. And the Admirals have something rolling here in the first inning.
Yeah, bases loaded, 1 out. Your ground ball away from getting out of it, but right now we got the designated hitter, Cooper Schultz.
Live on our YouTube channel, we appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company for paying our rights fee today. If we play a 3rd ball game in this region tournament, we'll have a new sponsor, hopefully only one. That ball is just ripped to center field, and Richie Ferreira makes the catch. Here comes the throw, and it's not in time. So it's 3-0. That's a sacrifice fly and an RBI. Ball was hit right on the button, but the sophomore center fielder for the Wildcats makes the catch for out number 2. But it's 3-0 with the Admirals in the lead.
That's what we talked about. Throw strikes, and you're going to get outs. You know, what's scoring right now is the walks.
One thing about the Oak Ridge defense, and I know you haven't seen them play this year, Lee, is they do play some pretty solid defense. And we've, you know, obviously the defensive player of the year in the district is Caden Black, and he's been a starter at that position since his freshman year. And the Wildcats are very solid in the outfield and very solid in the infield. And Mikey throws a pitch, which is in there for a called strike. Good start for the Admirals. They take a 3-0 lead over the Wildcats against the freshman Mikey. Trying to work out of trouble, kind of settle himself down and get ready for the second inning and kind of limit the damage a bit against the defending state champions. Pitch is outside a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. I didn't really get a chance to talk with Coach Free about his strategy on who to pitch. Obviously, he's going for the title here. He's going with what has been the Wildcats' number 2 here in the second half of the year, Mikey Teasley, and trying to do it in this ball game. And why not? You have a chance to host a sub-state ball game. Is that pitch evidently a little inside, maybe a little high, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. The winner of this game is the region champion, and they can go home. The loser has to wait for a 4 o'clock ball game here at Carson Newman. One of the disadvantages, I guess, Lee, I'll come back after this pitch. It's down low. One of the disadvantages of setting our stuff up outside, if indeed the Wildcats don't prevail in this game, it's not protected and not guarded, and we have a long time between games.
The worst thing that could happen is someone just come up and steal all the stuff. That would really be uncool. But, I mean, there's going to be 4 teams all here at once here at this itty-bitty tiny Carson Newman College Stadium.
3 balls, 1 strike. Mikey Teasley steps off the rubber. Mikey, as I mentioned, he's a freshman. Played a lot of travel ball. Has had a really good year for the Wildcats. But going against the state champions has struggled here in the first inning, mainly with his control. A couple balls hit hard, but his control's been an issue. Here comes the pickoff play back at second. Not much of a lead at second, and the base runner's back easily. I don't know what I think about these camouflage jerseys for the kind of desert camouflage for the Farragut Admirals. I'm so used to that blue and silver. They do have the big F on the breast on the left side, but they're not the typical blue and silver that we're used to seeing with Farragut. 3 balls and 1 strike. That pitch is a called strike. So, Lee, both pitchers having to work hard here in the first inning.
Yeah, it seems like almost every hitter that's come up to the plate, both teams making the pitcher work. We've seen maybe 1 or 2 hard hit balls so far, but you know, hopefully we can get this third out right here. Runners will be moving 3-2.
Mikey comes to the plate, cut on, I missed. And that is a swinging strikeout, and that is out number 3. So the Admirals pick up 3 runs against Mikey Teasley. We go to the top half of the second inning at Carson Newman. Here, the Region 2 championship ball game, the Wildcats of Oak Ridge and the Farragut Admirals. Farragut leads by a score of 3-0, and we'll be back to Carson Newman on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio, in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson Newman University, the side of this year's Region 2 baseball championship game. Farragut on top of Oak Ridge 3-0. Wildcats sophomore center fielder Richie Ferreira leads things off for the Wildcats. Had a big night last night. Kind of started that 7th inning insurance rally. The Wildcats scored 4 runs against Hardin Valley in the 7th inning, all with 2 outs, and Richie Ferreira started that with a 2 RBI double. Pitch to him is down low, a ball, and he's ahead in the count. Now, 2 balls and no strikes. Been kind of a sunny to cloudy day here at Carson Newman. Pitch is on the inside corner, right at the belt, and the count is 2-1. I'm holding the microphone. If you hear a little scratching noise, that's me passing it back and forth. 2-1 pitch, cut on and foul tipped. Back in the mitt, and the count is 2-2. Last night, the Farragut pitchers combined for a 1-hitter. That first hit by Central didn't come until late in the ballgame. 3-0 our score. 2-2 pitch to Richie. Hit foul and hard over the top of their field house off to the left side and out of play. Let's see, they have the Bobby Wilson Training Facility to the left, the Silver Diamond Baseball Complex, and Welcome to Mossy Creek sign over there, Carson Newman home dugout, which is just kind of a porch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The ball is hit on the ground to the second baseman. He fields it cleanly, throws on to first in time for the first out of the inning. The Wildcats picked up a base hit. Not a base hit, picked up a base runner in the first inning on an error, a throwing error by the third baseman. So far to this point in the game, that's the only base runner for the Wildcats. Batting now will be the designated hitter, Eddie Tan, who had 3 hits last night for the Wildcats. And I tell you, he almost had a 4th hit. The ball was hit to the wall at Central High School, and a nice play by the Hardin Valley left fielder to take what I thought was going to be a home run away from Eddie. And he hits the ball foul, coming back towards the stands and on top of the press box, right over the top of Sparky, a Farragut statistician in the press box. Haven't seen him in several years. Eric Gerhardt doing radio as well. That pitch is cut on a miss to Eddie Tan, and he's behind in the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
You know, one thing I'm not sure I understand is make the losers play the first game of the day. We got Oak Ridge and Farragut out here, the winners brackets, the early game. I'm not really sure why that is. That's kind of the way it is really throughout the whole state.
I'm not sure why you would play. Well, this is the region championship game, essentially. Whoever wins this is the region champion. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you would do that either. But here's the pitch to the plate. Called strike 3. Look low from here, but we're on top of the bleachers here on the football side, and that is out number 2 here in the second inning. And the batter now will be the senior second baseman for the Wildcats, Jason Slay. Jason had really one of his better offensive nights last night in the win over Hardin Valley Academy. He had 3 hits, all producing runs or part of run scoring in that ball game. First region win for the Wildcats in 30 years. Ball's hit on the ground, a couple high hops to the second baseman over the top of his glove. And there's an example of turf right there. He fielded, he was in great position to field it. The ball just then took a high bounce over the top of his glove, ticked off his glove into right field, and the Wildcats have a 2-out base runner.
Well, I mean, I guess we're just going to score that as a hit. I mean, I don't know what the second baseman is supposed to do there. I mean, the ball just bounced over him, and you asked me how my home field's turf played. Not like that. I mean, at no point, I don't really see balls go straight into the ground and take a hop like that. So I guess we're just going to mark that down as a hit.
Yeah, that was just like a super ball bouncing off the turf. So the Wildcats have Jason Slay. The batter now is the freshman Camden Welch. Big burly first baseman for the Wildcats. Yes, the Wildcats have 2 freshmen starting in this region championship ball game. Making sure everything's rolling straight here. One ball, no strikes. Cut on miss. Runner is going, and the throw eludes the shortstop covering. Was actually on the second base side, and the Wildcats have another runner in scoring position. I think a good throw, and he's out.
Yeah, I think so, and I guess it looks like the shortstop, Lucas Buckner. Not sure what happened there. I'm watching the game through the camera, so obviously the camera a little tough to see right now, and hopefully the sun will kind of keep going behind the football bleachers here. That way we can get in some more shade.
1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch to Cam is hit foul. Back out of play. One thing about it, I mean, the sun does come and go, but between these clouds, there's kind of a cool breeze. That's the only really advantage. When the sun comes out, it's scorching hot.
Yeah, and I get really irritated when the sun does come out. There's so many clouds out here. And when the sun does come out, it's just hitting you. But when it's behind the clouds, it's really nice and breezy.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Camden Welch, freshman first baseman. The pitch to him, hit foul off the screen. And the count remains at 1-2. The Wildcats have a runner, Jason Slay, at second base. There are 2 outs. Farragut leads Oak Ridge in the Region 2 championship game. 3-0. 3 runs scoring in the first inning. Mikey Teasley, control left him a little bit, and Farragut took advantage of that, as you would expect the defending state champs would do. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hit foul again. Out of play. A lot of foul balls. A lot of lost balls here. A lot of them have gone far distance. Some of the ones easily retrievable back on the football field behind us here at Carson Newman. Cam back in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Slay off of second. 1-2 pitch. Hit to left field and hard, but right at the left fielder. The freshman hit the ball right on the button, but right to the left fielder.
Yeah, well struck ball, but it just found leather, and good barrel right there. And we're headed to the bottom of the second. Farragut up 3-0, and let's try and get a shutdown inning, throw some strikes, and let the defense make some plays.
We're live on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We appreciate all of you who've been following all season long. We appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company. As I say all the time, the TSSAA and their attempt to grab more money from us, charge a rights fee. And what they're afraid of, and I understand they're kind of backwards and kind of old thinking, they think that by us streaming the ball games, it takes away from their gate. But, especially in non-revenue sports like baseball, I've always felt that, the people who are going to come to a high school baseball game are going to come to a high school baseball game, and they're not going to be deterred, but, David and Lee are doing a ball game on YouTube. Well, let's not go to the ball game. I think everybody who would have come to Central or at Oak Ridge is here today. Maybe a few more students perhaps at Oak Ridge, but a $250 fee has to be paid each and every time we do a playoff game. That's in basketball. That is in any of the other sports like this game, which is really a non-revenue sport. But we thank J.G. Mullins Construction Company, a longtime supporter, and Jared Mullins, former Wildcat baseball player, so he's got some ties. And yesterday's sponsor, Donnie Sharp, East Tennessee Spine and Sport, obviously another Oak Ridge baseball player in the past. So we appreciate them. But I've often thought the TSSAA, I think the best thing that we're doing right now, and I've noticed this throughout the course of our season, and we have streamed most of the games this year, the thing I've noticed, there are more people who have come to the games that have never been to a game that I've ever seen before, community people, because they have watched it on the stream. I think it's a better promotion than a deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're able to broadcast and market your team and your players, and especially when you make the postseason like the Wildcats are doing, people are going to be interested. And this is the postseason. I mean, what's better?
Bottom of the second inning, just getting underway. Mikey's first pitch out of the strike zone.
This is the 9-hole. The left fielder, Mark Underwood, for the Admirals, and then we'll be back to the top of the order with Lucas Buckner and then Landis Davila.
Pitch to the plate is a called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wildcat defense remains the same. This has been pretty much the defense we've had most of the season. Obviously, sometimes Tyler is at first base, Tyler Pickens, but you want the bat of Camden Welch in there. That pitch is shoulder level, and the count is 1-1. This could be the first of 2 ball games we'll broadcast today. Hopefully not. Wildcats need a win to be the region champions and avoid a second ball game today at 4. 1-1 pitch. Called strike 2. Right at the belt, right down the middle, and the count is 2-2. Lee Wexler up here with me. My name is David Clary, broadcasting here at Carson Newman on this beautiful Saturday morning. I guess we're getting closer to afternoon. Mikey, 2-2 pitch. Oh boy, looked good. Must have been just a bit outside, and the count is full.
Yeah, maybe just a little outside. A couple close calls here so far.
If you're watching our broadcast and you have the ability to chat, you can ask us questions. We've always feel free to do that. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Teasley to the plate. Oh my gosh, look good. But evidently either it's either high or low. A little chirping from the Oak Ridge dugout gets the umpire's attention, and he says something. Last 2 pitches could have been called strikes, but they do the best they can with what they have to work with.
I think ball 3 might have been a little outside, maybe a little low, but I mean that looked good from here. And it doesn't matter who you are when you're playing Farragut. You're going to have to get some calls go your way.
Runner at first, nobody out. We're in the second. Farragut already leads Oak Ridge 3-0. And you kind of hope to have a little bit more of a liberal strike zone against these guys, but these guys can just hit it, all of them, from top to bottom. As we saw last night when they put 18 runs up, the pitch is a called strike inside. I think now that Farragut didn't really like that call. It was inside right at the knees. Evens the count at 1-1 strike. I'm really proud of Lee. He got the stream going. On the first try, we didn't have to call anybody. That pitch might have hit him in the foot, and I think it did. They've got runners at first and second. So the free passes, as you said, Lee, earlier, against a team like this, you can't give them, extra. You can't give them anything extra. And the Wildcats, Mikey, who normally has pretty good control, has been a little bit out of control in terms of the strike zone. In this one, you can't allow free passes.
It's 4 walks and a hit by pitch. 2 of the 3 Farragut runs came on pass balls, so going to have to do the best to limit all that.
And you're at the top of their order, too, so makes life much more difficult, obviously. As the wind's blowing hard towards left right now. This is a left-handed hitter. Wildcats playing pretty deep in the outfield. It's a deep fence here. It's a high field fence out in left field, shorter fence in center and right. The pitch is up high, and the count is 1-1. Nobody out here in the second. It was not a good inning for Mikey in the first inning, allowed 3 runs. As just a moment ago, Lee said, 4 walks and hit batsman against the defending state champions. You really got to buckle down and just make your defense play, like he said. There's a good pitch. And the count is 1-2. And Oak Ridge has a good defense. That infield is about as solid as any Oak Ridge defense we've had maybe since the 90s, to be honest with you. They are really, really good up the middle. They're good on the corners. As Mikey tries to retire the first man here in the second. As that pitch is hit to the shortstop, they might have 2. There's 1 at second. The throw back, not in time. Bang, bang, bang play as the second baseman Slay fielded it through to Caden Black, who got the throw off to Camden. They got the runner at second, the force, but the Admirals have runners on the corners. Good speed coming down the line, avoided the double play.
Yeah, got the ground ball, couldn't turn it fast enough, and see what we got going on here. Might have a pitching change. See what we got going on here. I think, let's see, right fielder Jacob Franklin.
That's what it looks like. Jacob is coming in the pitch. I don't know if kind of surprised, unless because of a pitch count they want to save Mikey maybe for the second ball game, because I guess because it is kind of an early exit. He has thrown a lot of pitches, and there is pitch count issues. And when you get to the postseason, we're limited with Alex Franklin not able to pitch anymore because of his labrum. And indeed, it is going to be Jacob Franklin who's going to take over. Mikey's going to go to third, and that's kind of a quick hook there for him. But all I can figure, Lee, it's probably for pitch count purposes.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you've got to look at. But, I mean, this is, I'm not sure what the pitch count was, but, I mean, this will be the last day of the region tournament. I mean, it's a 2-day event, and so we'll know the region champion, after this game, and so it'll end. So the sectional, I'm a little confused on when that's going to begin. It looks like TSSAA has given, teams and regions some kind of, they've really given them several days. The state tournament doesn't begin until Tuesday the following week. So really these teams, they've got 7 or 8 days to kind of work it out. But, I mean, even in this region, you're going to have teams that are traveling several hours away, 2 hours away. I mean, whoever finishes runner-up in this region is likely going to have to go to a place like Science Hill. But, pitch count, that's not something I'm probably worried about right now, because
what reason I'm thinking is that he might be able to pitch in the second game if there is a second game.
That's also something I'm not really sure about. My understanding is, if I had to guess, and I'd have to look this up, if he threw over more than 25 pitches, which he definitely threw over more than 25 pitches, I'd be shocked if he's able to enter in the second game today. Which, that's something Coach Free, they're going to have to pay close attention to, because you'd hate to be in the news for your season ending early because someone didn't keep pitch count, which I think happened between Powell and Bearden last year. Pitch count wasn't kept, and so yeah, that's obviously something very important. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but that might be something to ask Coach Free after the game. But we'll see. It's 3-0 Farragut, and so Oak Ridge has to dig themselves out of a hole here.
That happened one time for Oak Ridge when the Wildcats were playing in the district tournament against Halls. Oak Ridge went over the pitch count. So Jacob Franklin, who has been a mainstay on the pitching staff, but coming off of arm surgery, has not been able to pitch as much this year. Contrasting styles, he comes with that sidearm, doesn't throw hard, relies on off speed, relies on control, relies on his breaking pitch. His fastball is not what you call the same speed as Mikey Teasley. So sometimes it makes it more difficult to adjust to a pitcher who throws obviously with the sidearm motion that Jacob does. And you've seen Jacob pitch a lot over his career, and he's not going to overpower you, but he's typically pretty effective. We'll see how he does against this big bunch of bashers from West Knox County. Runners on the corners. That pitch evidently a little bit low, and the count is 2 balls and no strikes. Unfortunately, Jacob relies on catching those corners, and the umpire has not shown really much of a large strike zone, so Jacob will have to come into the strike zone, and that pitch is on the corner at the knees for a strike, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. A little bit different styles between Jacob Franklin and Mikey Teasley.
Yeah, Jacob obviously dropping down. It seems like he's dropping down with his arm angle more than I think last year and the year prior. It feels like for me, every time I would do a broadcast, it feels like Jacob Franklin was the guy pitching for the Wildcats.
Ball is hit. Right side, right fielder back on it, and that is Camden Welch, and that's going to score another run. Ball's cut off, or tried to be cut off by the pitcher, and that's going to advance the runner down to second. Sacrifice fly and an RBI, and Farragut now leads Oak Ridge 4-0. And the throw came in. Camden Welch has moved from first base to right field. Tyler Pickens is the first baseman now. Mikey Teasley is at third. Middle infield remains the same. Caden Black at short, Jason Slay at second. Richie Ferreira is the center fielder, and Izzy Mitchell is out in left. Kyron Welch is the catcher. 4-0 our score. Evans the batter, facing Jacob Franklin in relief of Mikey Teasley in this Region 2 championship ball game. 4-0. Farragut in the lead. Farragut in this position, it seems like every year. That pitch looked good from here. Like I said, we're broadcasting from the football bleachers. Don't have the typical angle, but I think it's a better look. We don't have to go through the fence as much as we do elsewhere. It's kind of a different kind of a look at the field. That pitch is a little bit high, just barely high, maybe inside, belt high. Some umpires, you have to adjust to them, obviously, and this one has a very, very narrow strike zone. Runner at second, 1 run in, 4-0 Admirals. That pitch is a called strike. Farragut, the defending state champions, 11 state titles since 1982, including last year. And just the fact that in 2021 and 2020, one of those was a COVID year, so there was no state champion crowned. That pitch is a called strike. Who won the 2021 state championship, Lee?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'd have to think about that. I think Science Hill won. Science Hill, I think, took down Hardin County.
Okay, I'll go with that. 2-strike pitch up high. And the count is full again, 3 balls and 2 strikes. We have had a ton of full counts on both sides. The Admirals have taken advantage. As Jacob asked the umpire what the count is, and it is 3-2. 2 outs, runner at second for Farragut. 4-0 Admirals. Senior comes to the plate, cut on and missed. And that is a strikeout, and Jacob comes in and gets a couple outs and a swinging strikeout. We go to the top of the 3rd inning at this Region 2 championship ball game at Carson Newman. The Wildcats trail the Admirals 4-0. Good job there by Jacob Franklin. We'll come back and talk about him in a moment. We'll be back on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio, in a moment. Welcome back to our broadcast of Oak Ridge Farragut Region 2 Championship Baseball. Wildcats trailing by a score of 4-0 as we start playing the third. The leadoff man for the Wildcats is Kyron Welch, the number 9 hitter in the lineup. He's the catcher. He's a junior. He stands in, fouls the first pitch back, and the count is 0-1. 4-0 Farragut. Pitch to Kyron, hit on the ground, foul. Up the third base line, hits the bullpen mound, bounces all the way back to the fence. You were running down the totals a minute ago. They have 4 runs, but not a whole lot of hits.
Well, only 2 hits, and they 5 free 90s gifted to the Admirals, 4 walks and a hit by pitch, and that's pretty much what's been scoring for the Admirals as they lead 4-0 here in the top of the third.
Pitch to Kyron. Man, that looked good. Like I said, he has squeezed the strike zone pretty good. Been very narrow. And Farragut didn't get the call that time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Caden Black on deck for the Wildcats. He was retired his first plate appearance. That pitch, he asked for help, and he says he is out. And that is a strikeout of Kyron Welch. Batter now will be Caden Black, leadoff man for the Wildcats. I think he struck out, if I remember correctly, back in the first inning. A rare strikeout for Caden. Left-handed hitting's junior. He's got a lot of speed. He's dangerous on the base pass. Let's see if he can get on this time. And that pitch is high and outside to him. 1 ball and no strikes. Ton of stolen bases this year. Great fielding shortstop for the Wildcats. 3-year starter in his junior year. He takes strike 1, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. We're in the top of the third. Region 2 title ball game. The second game today will pit the losers from yesterday, Hardin Valley and Central, together with a chance to play for a sub-state in the second game. This is for the region champion, so the second game, or the third game basically, would be for a sub-state berth and having to travel, but you're in the final 16 in the state. Caden fouls it off back to the screen, and the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody aboard. I'm trying, Lee. Only have 2 hands. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch to Black. Bounced at the plate. They asked for help. Did they say went around? They say did. And that is a strikeout of Caden Black. Just couldn't hold up the swing that time, and rare back-to-back strikeouts for Caden Black.
Yeah, in this inning, both strikeouts have been on check swings. The home plate umpire. I do like the home plate umpire appealing to the other first and third base umpires. I don't really like it when the home plate umpire calls them out, so I do appreciate that. But those were really close.
Here's Mikey Teasley now playing third for the Wildcats. Takes the ball, 1 ball, no strikes. The Wildcats have had a base runner in every inning. Have yet to score. They've had him in scoring position each of the first 2 innings as Mikey hits the ball right up the middle, and that is a solid base hit for the freshman. So Wandon gets past the center fielder, and Mikey's heading towards second. So for the 3rd inning in a row, the Wildcats have had a runner at second base. And that time, a rare error by the Admirals. The ball went right to the center fielder. Really, kind of a sing-eye single right up the middle, and he let it get past him, and not far enough to Mikey to get farther than second, but the Wildcats do have a runner in scoring position for Tyler Pickens.
Yeah, it's going to be a single and then an E8 on the center fielder Brennan Siegler, who I think's committed to play at UT.
Tyler Pickens stands in for the Wildcats. Mikey takes his lead. The pitch is down low, a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Farragut on top of the Wildcats, 4-0. So we broadcast here at Carson-Newman University. In front of a good crowd here. Hardin Valley Hawks are in the house here, sitting right below us. I haven't seen many Central players stroll in. The pitch to Tyler is at the knees for a called strike. And that evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Got a lot of people texting me, Lee. I think we've got several people watching, or have watched parts of it to this point. We appreciate that. We appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company for paying our rights fee. The ball is hit softly on the infield. Tyler Pickens is going to try to beat it out, and he will not. That is an out, and that is the 3rd out of the inning. It was a bang-bang play, but I think the correct call. Pickens is retired for the third out. The Wildcats pick up a base hit. They leave him stranded. We go to the bottom half of the third inning here at Carson Newman. Wildcats trail the Farragut Admirals in the Region 2 championship ballgame by a score of 4-0. And we'll be back on our YouTube channel, brought to you by J.G. Mullins Construction Company. Jared Mullins, former Wildcat, helping us out with our fee. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching the Region 2 championship ball game on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. The Wildcats of Oak Ridge and the defending state champion Farragut Admirals. Farragut currently in the lead over the Wildcats 4-0. My name is David Clary, along with Lee Wexler. We're live at Jefferson City. This beautiful day here in Jefferson County. Kind of a puffy clouds, bright sun, a strong wind blowing, kind of keeping us cool as Jacob Franklin begins his first full inning of work. John Chesney watching our broadcast, former classmate of mine, watching our broadcast as Jacob Franklin takes over for Mikey Teasley in the first pitch of this inning. Belt high, looked good. Lee?
Yeah, it looked good. Maybe, I don't think that was high. It must have been inside.
Jacob Franklin, senior member of the Wildcats, member of the all-district team. Side armor comes in. That one definitely a ball. And the count is 2 balls and no strikes. Wildcat defense has shifted since the beginning because of the pitching change. Went over that earlier, but I'll do it again. Jacob comes in with a 2-0 pitch. There's a called strike. A little right at the knees, maybe a little low, but he called it on the corner. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jacob, the side armor, comes in. That's a called strike, and the count is 2-2. Third baseman is Mikey Teasley. He's a freshman. The second baseman, Jason Slay. He's a senior. Shortstop is junior Caden Black. The first baseman is senior Tyler Pickens. The outfielder in left field is Izzy Mitchell. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit in the air. Foul and out of play. Izzy is a junior. Hits the football bleachers. The visiting bleachers here to our right. Center fielder is Richie Ferreira. He is a sophomore. And the right fielder is freshman Camden Welch. Kyron Welch is the catcher for the Wildcats, and senior Jacob Franklin is the pitcher. Nobody out, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody on. We're in the bottom of the third inning in a 4-0 ball game. That pitch almost hit him. That was so inside, it was outside. Kind of had him ducking, and the count is full.
Yeah, Jed Johnston, the third baseman, the batter. I think Franklin threw that one behind him, and Johnston did everything everything he could to get out of the way and avoid being hit.
And he did, and he lives to bat another pitch here. 3-2 pitch. Oh, strike 3 called. Late call by the umpire. Oak Ridge crowd liked it. The Admiral fans not too happy about it. It's kind of a late signal by the umpire. It's a good start for Jacob, and that's back-to-back strikeouts for him.
Yeah, very late strike call. I thought umpire was going to let it go ball 4, but yeah, good start to the inning. Backwards K.
Right-handed hitter stands in now. What has he done today?
Singled back in the first inning.
Pitch to the plate, a called strike at the knees, and Jacobs come in and has thrown strikes. Contrasting styles between him and Mikey Teasley. Jacob to this point has been successful. He's retired every batter he's faced. That ball is hit on the ground until now. A jinx team. The ball is hit in the center field. That is a solid single and a one-out base runner for the state champion Farragut Admirals. 4-0 they lead. We're in the third inning of this Region 2 title ball game. And the batter now?
Cooper Scholes hit a sac fly to center field. His last at bat drove in a run.
So officially no at-bats. Takes his lead. The runner takes his lead off of first. Jacob Franklin, senior pitcher from the stretch. The side armor comes in with a pitch high and outside. Tyler Pickens will hold the runner on. It's 4-0. Could be a long day up here. Well, it's going to be a long day for one of these two teams and their fan base. As Jacob comes in, squares to bunt, hits it right back to Jacob. He feels it, throws on the run, and ball eludes Tyler Pickens somehow. Didn't look like a terrible throw, and they're going to score another run because of it. Actually, not exactly sure. I think what they're going to say is the ball went out of play or something. I'm not exactly sure. The home plate umpire made a call. What was it?
Well, two things. I think the call is going to be that the hitter, the batter there, Cooper Scholes, was in the baseline, and the home plate umpire is making that call. And if any of our viewers are able to maybe go rewind, I almost wonder if Cooper Scholes' front foot was out of the box when he bunted. But it was close. I couldn't really tell. And head coach Buckner for the Admirals, he's going to argue the home plate umpire called out Cooper Scholes running down the baseline. And it's not like Jacob Franklin picked it up and threw it in the baseline. So it's tough for me to see, but, you know, our viewers should have the ability to go back and rewind if they can and maybe let us know in the chat.
Looks like they're going to return the runner. Runner is out, but what about the runner that scored? He has to be returned to the base path. Then that would be the second out of the inning. I think, if I'm not correct here, they will take the run off the board, Lee. I would think so. They haven't, but.
Yeah, Siegler's going to go back to first here, and Scholes is going to be called out for being the baseline. And, you know, Farragut, they argued for a second, but they're just going to play on.
I don't think people in the press box know they still have one out on the board. And catcher stands in here. There are two outs now. I believe it's still 4-0. As Jacob comes in, that pitch evidently high and inside.
This is Gavin Brewer. Struck out swinging back in the first inning.
Jacob working his first full inning of work, has given up a hit. Side arming senior comes in. The pitch is a called strike. And the count is 1-1 strike. They haven't changed much up on the scoreboard. Now they put two outs up. Still concerned about that run on the board. Pitch is another called strike. And Jacob throwing strikes. He doesn't throw hard, but as long as he's in the strike zone, and, you know, defense can, you know, can't do much when you're walking batters. And one thing that Jacob has done is come in here and thrown strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Looks here for the sign from Kyron Welch. And batter steps out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner at first for the Admirals. Jacob comes to the plate. Sidearm pitch is hit. Foul. Actually back into right field, and Kyron Welch makes it. I got screened there for a second, but he does make Camden Welch makes the catch for out number 3. So, correct me, did they score a run there?
No, they did not. What happened was Siegler was at first, and the throw by Franklin ended up going down the line. They called Scholes out for interference, and that allowed Siegler to get all the way around the bases and then touch home plate. But they ended up putting Siegler back at first. They called Scholes out for, I guess, running in the baseline. That would have been 2 outs. So the scoreboard here shows 5-0, but it is 4-0. So my board is right, and Carson Newman is wrong.
Thank you, Lee. I thought that was the case, too. And Wildcats trail it by a score of 4-0. We'll be back on our YouTube channel in a moment as we go for the top of the 4th inning here on our YouTube channel. Appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company for sponsoring our broadcast today. And we also appreciate Donnie Sharp with East Tennessee Spine and Sport, who sponsored our game last night with the Hardin Valley Hawks Academy. We'll be back on YouTube in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson Newman College, the Region 2 championship game between the Wildcats of Oak Ridge and the Farragut Admirals. Jacob Franklin leads things off for the Wildcats. Scoreboard still says 5-0. It is 4. We're pretty much convinced of that as Jacob takes one out of the strike zone, and the count is 1-0. I'm surprised Coach Free, coaching staff, haven't said much about that. I guess, what matters is what the umpire says and not what the scoreboard says. That pitch looked low, but right at the knees, I guess, and the count is 1-1.
Well, the good thing for our viewers is that they know what the score is, but we're unable to really kind of do the count and the outs.
Ball is hit well to left center field. It's going to go all the way to the warning track. That's going to be a leadoff double at least for Jacob Franklin, and a good start for the Wildcats here in the 4th inning. Solid hit ball all the way to the warning track, skipped up the gravel out of the left center field area, and a good start for Oak Ridge.
Yeah, leadoff double. I thought that ball was going to carry on out of here because if you look out the flagpole out there near the scoreboard, the wind's kind of blowing out. Got a good pitch that time, and Oak Ridge really need to capitalize. Leadoff guy on. Delph, need to make him work here, and this is the thick of the order here. Oak Ridge needs to get a run across here.
4-0 is the score. The scoreboard still says 5. We'll continue with 4 as Richie Ferreira takes the strike, and the count is 0-1. Jacob Franklin, solid hit, has a couple of home runs to his credit this season as a senior. Richie had a good night yesterday against Hardin Valley. A couple of base knocks. Ball is hit well once again. It's going to drop in, I think, between the center fielder and the left fielder, and that's going to be a hit. It eludes the left fielder, and Jacob Franklin's going to get the green light, and he is going to score run number 1 for the Wildcats, and Richie Ferreira is at second base. So the Wildcats now trail it by a score of 4-1. Just a bloop single in between the left fielder and the center fielder and the shortstop in no man's land, and the Wildcats have yet another runner in scoring position.
I'm going to give it a double. I mean, that ball, it hit out in no man's land, and it bounced, and I think the outfielders may have had a little trouble, but I'm going to credit Ferreira a double, and a great read by Jacob Franklin. He knew that ball was going to fall. Had Farragut may have played it clean out there in the outfield, I think Franklin was going to score, and the Wildcats are on the board.
4-1 our score. Batter now is Eddie Tan for the Wildcats. He rips one deep to center field. The center fielder back on it. Should make the catch, tagging at second base. Boy, look at that throw. It's way up the line. And boy, Richie's lucky that he got in there. You talk about an arm. He threw it. Luckily for Richie, the ball was up the left field line, past third base, or he might have been out. Great throw there. But the Wildcats have another runner at third base with one out now.
Yeah, Siegler for Farragut. I think, like I said, I believe he's committed to UT. Cannon of an arm, you just saw it there. But I think if the throw to Johnson over there at third's on target, I think the runner would have been out. But nevertheless, man on third, less than 2 outs. Let's see if Oak Ridge can get another run here.
4-1 the score. Jason Slay, the batter for the Wildcats. The pitch to him is a called strike. As I said, Jason had a really fine game last night. Had 3 hits against the Hawks. Runner at third for the Wildcats. 4-1 the score. The scoreboard continues to say 5. And you know how that bugs me. I hate that when I see the scoreboard wrong. But pitch to the plate. Called a strike. That was below the knees. There's no way in the world that was a strike.
Yeah, that looked a little low, and that's tough because now the count's 0-2, and I think I think you and me might be the only ones concerned about the scoreboard. No one else really seems to be saying anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Oh boy, that looked better than the previous pitch. That's going to be a ball. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. One out here in the fourth inning. The Wildcats have put a run on the board here. A couple doubles. Jacob Franklin, Richie Ferreira. Jason stands in. Behind in the count, 1-2. Pitch. He swung. That's another check swing, and that is a strikeout. And Wildcats just needed some contact right there. And, you know, Jason had a good game yesterday, but that's about the third time they've had a check swing strikeout in the game.
Yeah, and that time home plate umpire kind of rung him up. That's one of those I'd like to ask the first base umpire, but that's a big out for Farragut.
Batter now is Camden Welch. He'll take a 2-out hit. Wild pitch or a pass ball to get Richie home. Here's the pitch. Hit on the infield. Shortstop back on it. Left fielder in. The two team players collide, but that is an out, and that is the third out of the inning. The Wildcats do score a run. They trail now as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning at the Region 2 championship game. 4-1 the score. We'll be back in a moment. Back here once again at Carson Newman University as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. The Wildcats trailing Farragut 4-1 in the Region 2 championship ball game. Jacob Franklin still on the hill for the Wildcats, and his first pitch is a ball. Jacob ready to go once again. The batter was coming out of the batter's box. The umpire told him to get back in because Jacob was ready to go. He's behind in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. The pitch. The pitch is a little low and outside, and the count now is 2 balls and no strikes. Well, they finally changed the scoreboard. That made me happy, made Lee happy. 4-1 the score. Farragut on top. We're in the fourth inning. Jacob in relief of Mikey Teasley, who gave up all 4 of the Wildcat run or the Farragut runs, and really had some control issues. Jacob has been a little bit better in the strike zone. 2 balls and 1 strike. Franklin's pitched in a lot of big games for the Wildcats. He was really our number 2 guy all year last year. As that pitch is outside, Logan Rosenberger would be, I guess, categorized as the number 1 starter a year ago. But, of course, he graduated. Jacob had off-season shoulder surgery. Didn't play summer ball, just barely got cleared. Hadn't pitched a whole lot this year. But when he's come in, he's been pretty good. As that pitch is evidently a ball. And that's a walk, and that is ball 4. So good start for the Admirals here in the fourth inning. 4-1 our score. Wildcats and Admirals here on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. The winner is the region champion, and they will get a chance to host the the sectional, sub-state, whatever they call it in baseball. It used to always be sub-state, and they switched that years ago. I don't know if is it a sectional game? Is that what they call it? It's a tournament this year, a 3-game series.
I believe it's just called sectional these days.
And as we mentioned, this is the first year the TSSAA has had a series in the region and in the sectional. It's always been a single elimination ball game. So if you had a stud pitcher, you could throw him and win. As that pitch, evidently outside, narrow strike zone. Neither team really too happy about it, but as I said many times, you got to adjust to him. 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at first. 4-1 Farragut, leading the Wildcats here in the region title ball game. That one's just a little bit low. Could he have a smaller strike zone, Lee?
I mean, I think at times he's been a little tight, and I think these few pitches to Buckner have been missed a little there from Jacob Franklin. But you said Franklin hasn't pitched much this year. He could be maybe a little fatigued.
Could be. As the pitch is a called strike there, a 3-1 count on the batter. What has this guy done today?
This is Lucas Buckner. He walked and has been hit by a pitch.
3-1 pitch. Inside corner, but called a ball, and they've got runners at first and second. One thing that Jacob wanted was a shutdown inning. Here's the Wildcats put a run on the board to dent the scoreboard. Still down 4-1, but he has given up consecutive base runners on, and Admirals have them with nobody out in a 4-1 ball game in the 4th inning here at Carson Newman. Second game today will be between Hardin Valley and the Central Bobcats. Hardin Valley, the District 4 tournament champions. Central, the District 3 tournament champions, which is interesting because the championship game is being played between the 2 runner-up teams in the respective districts. But that's baseball for you. Central beat Oak Ridge twice at the district tournament, and Hardin Valley beat Farragut twice in the District 4 tournament. Pitch to the plate, called a strike at the belt, and the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Farragut's got them on first and second, nobody out. They lead the Wildcats 4-1. Jacob Franklin, batter squares to bunt, takes a strike. We've got a 1-2 count. Wildcats won 22 ball games. Farragut has won 28 on the year. Farragut, the defending state champions. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The senior comes to the plate, hit in the air, left side. Izzy in on it, calls for it, makes the catch for out number 1. So an easy fly ball out to Izzy Mitchell out in left field, and that's the first out of the inning.
I think if Oak Ridge just lets Farragut put the ball in play, I think they'd be okay. I mean, only 3 hits for Farragut, and Siegler has 2 of them. And I'm counting, I think, 7 free 90s, 6 walks, and a hit by pitch.
Yeah, and like I said, and like we've said throughout the course of the game, can't give great teams the benefit of, easy on-base opportunities, and that's what the Wildcats have done. There's a called strike. Good start there on the Admiral batter with 2 on and 1 out in a 4-1 ball game. The winner is the region champion, J.G. Mullins Construction Company. Jared Mullins paying our rights fee on TSSAA. That pitch is hit on the ground, third base side. Mikey knocks it down, and Caden keeps it in the infield, but they'll have the bases loaded. Kind of glanced off his glove. I don't know they would have had any shot of getting anybody. The good news is he did keep it in the infield, and Caden was quickly over there to make sure it didn't scoot out into the outfield, which could have allowed the run to come in to score, and the Admirals have the bases loaded with 1 out.
Good over by Mikey. I think by keeping that ball in the infield, I think that saved a run. 1 out, bases loaded, ground ball right here can get you out of the inning, and we've got Eli Evans up, who's walked and struck out swinging.
Franklin comes to the plate. Pitch, Bedeli just a little outside. And the count is 1-0. 4-1 Farragut, defending state champion Admirals, and the Oak Ridge Wildcats. Oak Ridge trying to win their 23rd game of the year. School record's 25 wins. That came in 91. One ball pitch is way outside and low. 2 balls and no strikes. Very sunny day. Lee's got his Titans hat on. I've got my Oak Ridge umbrella covering me from the sun. Hopefully you all are safely snug at home with your air conditioners on, watching this one on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio, on this Saturday of high school baseball, the Wildcats and Admirals from Carson Newman. Farragut's kind of lost some energy in their dugout, even though they have the bases loaded. 2-0 pitch, way outside, and Jacob in danger of walking in a run.
Yeah, and if that happens, that'd be the 8th free 90. We say free 90s. What that means is a walk or a hit batsman, and home plate, each base is 90 feet, so that's kind of what we say, free 90s. So if you ever hear me say free 90, it's a walk or a hit batsman.
Where did that come from after this 3-0 pitch from the senior? There's a called strike.
Honestly, I have no idea. That's just kind of baseball talk. Us baseball people have kind of just picked up on. Not sure where the term came from, but that's just something a lot of us use.
3 balls, 1 strike, bases loaded. Franklin comes in way outside, and that is ball 4. And as Lee said, Wildcat free passes have really, how many of the ones who have reached on those free passes have scored?
Well, Mark Underwood, he's walked in both at bats, the 9-hole hitter. He has scored 2 runs for the Admirals as they lead 5-1. Eli Evans has walked and scored, and Lucas Buckner has walked and scored. So, 4 of the walks have come in to score for the Admirals. The other run was Jake Merrick back in the first, was able to score as Admirals lead at 5-1 here. And I did credit Jake Merrick with an infield hit there. I know Mikey Teasley kind of dove to his left, kept the ball in the infield. That was a tough play. Had to go to his left. Tough to glove that, pick it up and throw it. So I credited Merrick with a hit there. So that's only 4 hits for Farragut, and only 2 guys have the hits. Merrick and Siegler, both guys are sharing the 4 hits, 2 each. So still 1 out, bases loaded, need another ground ball before hopefully Farragut doesn't blow this game open.
Coach Travis Free, the conversation with the entire infield, in particular his senior hurler, Jacob Franklin. Bases loaded, 1 run in. So the Admirals get back the run the Wildcats scored in the top of the inning. And as Lee said, Jacob trying to limit the damage here. But they do have the bases loaded. There's only 1 out. Franklin comes to the plate. Here's a called strike. And what has this young man done?
This is the third baseman, Jed Johnston. He has walked and struck out looking. He's also made an error over at third back in the first inning.
Behind in the count, 0-1. Pitch, ripped. Past Caden Black, he can't field it on a line drive. Ritchie comes up with it, comes up throwing, and they have runners. Still, the bases are loaded, another run scores. So, ball was hit like a shot. Ritchie came up with it really quickly, and that limited the damage, and now it is 6-1 Farragut.
Yeah, that ball was roped up the middle. That would have been a tough play for someone like Caden Black to come up with. I'm going to give that one a hit. That's going to be the 5th hit of the day for the Admirals, and again, it's the walks that are coming around to score.
6-1 our score. We're in the 4th inning, live here from Carson Newman. That pitch is hitting the air, right side, shallow. Camden's not going to get to it. That's going to be a single. They're going to score at least 1. Station-to-station baseball. Sacrifice. I thought it was going to be a sacrifice fly, but Camden just didn't have the speed to catch up with it. Once the ball got out in the grass, Jason couldn't get over to field it, and it's 7-1 Admirals. And that's going to be the end of the day's work for Jacob Franklin. Travis Free making his 2nd trip out to the mound, and that will cause the Wildcats to make a pitching change. We're live here at Carson Newman on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. 7-1 Farragut. We'll see who comes in to pitch in a moment. I haven't seen much movement from anywhere. Let's see who's going to come in and pitch for the Wildcats. Jacob's day is done. We'll be back to Carson Newman in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson Newman University. John Ulrich takes over on the mound for the Wildcats. John coming off of a 7-inning game against Central the other day where he was the losing pitcher in a 2-0 contest at the district tournament. Pitched well for the Wildcats. Tall, slender junior, third pitcher used by the Wildcats. Farragut has put 3 on the board here to take the lead over the Wildcats by 6. 7-1 is our score. Mike joins us here. Mike sponsoring perhaps our second ball game. Wildcats haven't been in this position since 1993, but Farragut looks like you'd expect them to be the defending state champions.
Well, that's true. I know they've got 3 UT commitments playing as well, so that kind of helps their cause. But we've got a good young team, got some key players coming back next season. Not that this one's over yet, but got a lot to look forward to with Coach Free and the Wildcats.
You and your cousin Jeff Huckabee don't want to be sponsoring the second ball game if there is a second ball game, but you work with Betsy Coleman Realty as a real estate person. And what is Jeff doing these days?
He has his own business south of Atlanta, Versalytics. It's a business analytics company, and doing very well. Got clients all over the world, and things are really taking off for him and his company in the last, I guess, year and a half that he's been in business for himself. So, of course, he's a former Wildcat football and baseball player, so he's excited to be able to support the Wildcats as well.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you sponsoring our basketball broadcast this year, and hopefully, like I said, I can rip this check up.
Well, that'd be great, but if not, it's there for you. And we all, as a community, appreciate everything you do for all of Oak Ridge High School. And it's you've done it for so long, and we appreciate everything.
Thank you a lot, Mike. Now pop up to the stop, Caden Black. 2 outs now, Lee.
Yeah, still 7-1. Runner was unable to tag Eli Evans over there at third. I was wondering if he was going to be able to tag shortstop. Caden Black was out deep and kind of out deep, shallow outfield actually, but was able to get a big out that time. Was Ulrich. Ulrich or Ulrich? I'm new to, I haven't seen these guys, and obviously I'm not from Oak Ridge, so a lot of these names and guys are kind of new to me, I guess.
This guy, John Ulrich, has actually done camera work for me. He has got a 1-1 count. The pitch is a ball, 2 balls, and 1 strike. They've put 3 on the board here in the 4th to up their lead to 7-1 over the Wildcats. John trying to work out of a bases-loaded jam. He got an easy pop out to Caden Black, and that ball is hit foul. Almost took out his base runner at third base. And the count is, I believe, 2-2, maybe 2-1, 2-2.
Yeah, I think it's 2-2, and this right here, Gavin Brewery struck out in the first, then flew out to right field, back in the third, and if Oak Ridge wants a shot at coming back and winning this game, they got to get this out right here. They're down 6 runs here in the 4th.
Mike's acting like I'm an old man. He had to put my umbrella back on for me. I appreciate that. Here's the pitch hit to the third baseman, Mikey Teasley. Steps on the bag at third for the Force. John Ulrich comes in and gets the job done. He retires the side. But the Admirals score 3 runs. They lead the Wildcats here at the Region 2 championship ball game, 7-1 Farragut as we go to the top of the 5th inning. We are live on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company, Jared Mullins, former Wildcat himself. In fact, all of our sponsors of our broadcast, Donnie Sharp yesterday with East Tennessee Spine and Sport. He's been with me a long time on Oak Ridge football, and he sponsored yesterday's broadcast, the Hardin Valley ball game at Shumpert Park. And today, Jared Mullins, former Wildcat baseballer, sponsoring this game. And here, hopefully not, but if we do have a third ball game, it is going to be sponsored by Mike Kelly. And it looks like our camera's frozen here. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Huckabee and Mike Kelly, he, of course, football Wildcat, coaching staff of the current team and last year's team, and Jeff Huckabee, who played back in around the 91 time, 93. So he was part of that baseball team, 93 team that was the region champions back in the day. We're going to take a break here. We're live at Carson Newman. We'll be back. 7-1 Farragut. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson Newman University. The Wildcats now trailing in the region championship game. We'll get the picture unfrozen in a moment. Sometimes it happens. We do have the audio going, so I'm a radio guy anyway, so I can continue to call. I call games anyway, like I'm on the radio, even with our television look to it. 7-1 is the score. Pitch to the plate is cut on a miss. The batter is Kyron Welch, the catcher for the Wildcats. One strike the count. The pitch is a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Good job, Lee. You got the picture unfrozen. I appreciate Jeff Ulrich coming up here. Unfortunately, it probably happened during the time when his son was pitching. There's a ball. 2 balls and 1 strike the count. But John Ulrich came in, got the job done. He got a pop out to Caden Black and then a force out. Mikey Teasley at third, got the runner coming from second to third, and retired the 2 batters that he faced and limited the damage. I mean, Jacob kind of lost a little bit of his control in the 4th inning, and unfortunately they put on 3 more runs to take a 6-run lead in this region championship game. Good job, though, by John Ulrich. That pitch is hit, foul. Once again, out of play. But good job by John Ulrich.
Yeah, that's right. He came in and got 2 outs. I don't think he gave up a run here as I'm doing my stats. Hard to keep up with my own stats. That's probably not good, but yeah, I thought Ulrich came in, pounded the strike zone, and just got out to let Farragut get themselves out.
Pitch is a called strike, and that is strike 3 looking, and Kyron Welch goes down again. And back to the top of the order we go to Caden Black, who uncharacteristically has struggled offensively in this ball game. He's 0 for the ball game, a couple strikeouts, which is unusual, as I say many times here for Caden. People telling me that the video has improved, and we appreciate that. Lee's trying to do so many different things. He's keeping the book. He's doing the camera. He's doing the scoreboard. He's doing the technical work. Well, I just sit and enjoy a high school baseball game as that pitch is hit. Foul territory. Catcher has some room, but not enough. It hits the roof of the Farragut, I guess it's the field house. They call it the Silver Diamond Baseball Complex. Looks like you've got some suites of seats there enclosed above their dugout. It's for a college field, it's smaller than most high school fields in terms of the stands. There are very few seats here at Carson Newman. They've had some success in baseball, and I'm kind of surprised, honestly, just how small the field is in terms of seating capacity. 2-strike pitch is up high. I believe the count is, let's make sure, they say 2 balls and 1 strike. I'll go with that. Farragut leads Oak Ridge 7-1. We're in the 5th. Ball's hit on the ground. First baseman fields it on 1 hop and steps on the bag, and that is out number 1. So, number 2, I'm sorry. Kyron was the first out. And Caden 0 for 3 in the ball game, which is, like I said, Lee, that's a little unusual.
Yeah, I believe he finished all region last year, and all state actually. Yeah, that's pretty good from last year. But this year, today's so far just not his day. 2 strikeouts and a ground out to first. This is Mikey Teasley. He's actually reached on 2 errors. Actually, scratch that. Reached on an E5 and then singled, and then the center fielder made an error. Teasley was able to grab second.
Wildcats down 7-1. 2 outs in the 5th. Mikey stands in the pitch to the freshman. He takes a strike at the knees, and the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Let me set the scenario for you once again. Whoever wins this game is the region champions. They will host a sectional ball game next week. The loser is not done as that ball is hit to the third baseman. He boots it and can't recover, and Mikey Teasley, for the 2nd time in the ball game, has reached base on a third baseman error by the Farragut Admirals. And characteristically, I believe that is the 3rd error they've committed in the ballgame.
Yeah, 3rd defensive error, and that's tough right there. I mean, that ball, this turf, I think, here at Carson, it's a little bit different. That ball kind of ate him up a little bit. That ball, it gets beat straight into the ground. It just hits the turf and it just goes. So tough play, but it was right at him. So I'm going to give him an E5.
I don't think Mikey would care either way. He doesn't seem to be a stat kind of guy. Wildcats down 7-1. Tyler Pickens. He's hit around 500 all year long, and that's legit. I'm not daddy stats. That's been legitimate. He's just had a phenomenal senior year, and that's why he was the District 3 Player of the Year, not only as a fielder, a batter, but he's been outstanding on the mound, as we saw yesterday against Hardin Valley. Wildcats are about to warm up another pitcher, it would appear, as the ball is hit into left field, and the Wildcats will have a couple runners on. Went past the third baseman that time. We'll give Tyler a solid single on that one.
Another hard hit ball. I think the ball kind of went underneath Johnston's glove over there at third, so he's kind of had some plays and just unable to come up. We'll give Pickens a hit that time. Tough play there for Johnston, and first and second with 2 outs. Let's see if Oak Ridge can get something going here.
Here's Jacob Franklin. He hit the ball to the wall his last time, scored the Wildcats' only run to this point. But he bats here with 2 outs with Teasley, the base runner, at second. Pickens, the base runner, at first. Pickens is a big guy, but he can move, as we saw during football season as well, and throughout the course of this baseball season. Jacob stands in, the pitch to him, takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. The last time Jacob hit the ball to the wall for a double, Lee thought it was out. I wasn't sure, but the wind was blowing pretty hard at that point. No balls, 1 strike. Jacob back in. Checking the runner, Teasley at second. The 1-strike pitch. Down low. Evens the count at 1-1. Got a youngster at second. He's a freshman. The base runner at first is Tyler Pickens. He's a senior. One wears number 2, the other number 3. Number 7 batting, that is Jacob Franklin. 1 ball and 1 strike. I'm going to set the scenario. I started to do that a moment ago, and I found out that the screen had frozen for a second. 1-1 pitch, hit foul, back to the screen. And Jacob Franklin behind in the count, 1-2. Richie Ferreira on deck for the Wildcats. Had a base hit his last time, scored Jacob Franklin, the only RBI of the game so far, for the Wildcats anyway. Walks have been a killer for Oak Ridge in this one, as Lee has pointed out several times. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 on, 2 outs. 5th inning. Jacob calls time. It's granted by the umpire, and he steps out of the box. The loser is not done. The winner just gets to host the sub-state and wins the region championship. Loser has to play a second game as the pitch to Jacob is cut on a miss, and that's a strikeout swinging, and Jacob not too happy with himself, and that is the 3rd out of the inning. The Wildcats pick up a couple of base runners. They leave them stranded with 2 outs. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning here at the Region 2 championship game between the Wildcats of Oak Ridge and the Farragut Admirals. Farragut leads Oak Ridge by a score of 7-1. Until last night, the last time Oak Ridge had won a region ball game, not just a region championship, a region ball game, you have to go back to 1993 when they beat Farragut to win the region championship. The Wildcats went to a sub-state ball game, a rainy, cold, nasty night at Kingsport Dobbins Bennett, and the Wildcats were defeated in that game. I remember it well. Michael Langenberg and Schuster and all those guys playing in that 93 ball game up at Kingsport Dobbins Bennett. The Wildcats with a chance to go to a sub-state for the first time in 30 years, but to do so, they have to either win this game or win a second ball game at 4 o'clock today against the winner of Hardin Valley and Central. That would be taking place immediately after this ball game. 7-1 our score as we play at Carson Newman on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We appreciate you watching, and we appreciate J.G. Mullins Construction Company for sponsoring our ball game. We also appreciate Donnie Sharp, who sponsored yesterday's ball game of East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We'll be back in a moment. It looks like we're going to have Jackson Anderson come in to pitch for the Wildcats. He'll be the 4th pitcher of the day used for the Wildcats. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back once again to Carson Newman University. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning of this. What is the region championship game for one of these two teams? Not an elimination ball game, but you're going to have to play another ball game, whoever loses, to see if the loser of this game will move on. Looks like Jackson Anderson is going to take over on the mound for the Wildcats. He will be the fourth pitcher used by the Wildcats? And haven't seen Jackson pitch much this year. He is a junior on the Wildcat team, wears the number 16. He's a right-hander. Hasn't seen a whole lot of action. I wouldn't read much into that. I know, especially with the score at 7-1. And I'd love to have a coach up here really to kind of talk about the philosophy and the strategy of a tournament like this where, okay, you're getting late in the ball game. It is the fifth inning. You're down 7-1. You know if you lose the ball game, you've got another game to play. And obviously you hope to go to play in a sub-state ball game sometime early next week. So you don't want to wear out all of your pitching. I'd like to, kind of interesting to find out what the strategy is in this situation. I'm going to put your manager hat on here as that pitch is outside of ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Lee?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to maybe hear from Coach Free or somebody after the game. And I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, if you lose this game, you've got to play again later on today. There's a foul ball by Mark Underwood, the 9-hole hitter. But I mean, this Farragut team, they're tough, and 7-1, slow game. I mean, we've been at it for almost 2 hours here.
Well, when you walk 8 or 9 people, and that we've seen that, and some errors on the part of Farragut allowing base runners, it has been what appears to be a slow game. Yes.
Yeah, we've been here. Well, this is going to at least take over 2 hours to play this one. And we've got Hardin Valley Central, so Oak Ridge. Not sure what they'll do. They'll hang out. I don't know if they'll go eat somewhere. I mean, we're in Jefferson City, so I don't know where there's anything close to eat around here. Just go find some shade, find somewhere and just relax. But get ready for the next game. Hopefully they can come back and win this ball game. They're down 6 runs, so I mean,
Wildcats scored 4 last night in the 7th inning. They've, as the scoreboard at Truist Park says, they've done it before. They can do it again. As that's a leadoff walk, and Jackson Anderson walks the first guy he faces. And how many now walks have the Admirals received from the Wildcat pitching staff?
I believe this is 9 walks. Mark Underwood, the 9-hole. That's his third walk of the game. He's walked in all 3 at bats.
And they've taken advantage just about of every free pass the Wildcats have given them. We've also hit a couple batters, I think, in this one. 7-1 the score. Farragut on top. The pitch, a little outside, I guess. Jackson, as I mentioned, haven't seen him pitch that much in the games that I've called. I know he has pitched some when I've been out of town, but he seems to have command and seems to be poised out there. That pitch looked good, but like I said, the strike zone has been so narrow, and obviously I'm biased. Would like to have some of those calls, but you got a young pitcher or a pitcher with a little experience here. He needs all the help he can possibly get as that pitch is a called strike, and the count is 2-1. Farragut has a base runner first, nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Wildcats with only 1 lone run, an RBI hit by Richie Ferreira, scoring Jacob Franklin. Pitch down low, a ball, 3 balls and 1 strike. Getting a little coaching from the stands here. Always fun when fathers get involved a little bit aggressively. 3 balls and 1 strike, the pitch. A little bit high. And it's ball 4, and they've got runners at first and second. 7-1 the score. Last night, this Farragut team exploded, I believe, for 8, maybe 9 runs in the 7th inning against the Central Bobcats. And they won 18-1 over the District 3 tournament champions. The Wildcats were the regular season District 3 champions. Hardin Valley was the regular season and tournament District 4 champions. I think the biggest surprise I had, and that District 4 is so tough. I mean, I heard Coach Freeze last night say that our district is one of the tougher ones, but I not that I disagree with Coach, but let me tell you, you got a district with Maryville, Bearden, Hardin Valley, and Farragut in it. Any 4 of those teams could have made it to this game. but they knocked each other out in that tournament. That ball is ripped to center field, and it looks like Izzy's out in center field. He can't make the play. Ball hits the warning track, and they'll have at least a run scoring. Izzy gets the ball in quick. The stop sign, now they're going to fumble the ball out in the outfield, and 2 runs will score, and it's 9-1. So Izzy has moved over to center field, taking over for Richie Ferreira. Let me see where Richie is. If he is out, looks like Richie's out of the ball game. I don't see him in the contest right now. The changes, I just realized it looks like Jacob Franklin is in left. Izzy Mitchell has moved over from left to center. And Camden Welch is in right field. Tyler Pickens is at first. Jason Slay at second. Jaden Black at short. Mikey Teasley is the third baseman. That ball is ripped again to center field. This time Izzy does make the catch. Ball was hit like a shot, but out. That's the first out in the inning, and it's 9-1 right now with the Admirals on top.
I think Farragut's finally starting to find some barrels here in the 5th inning. 9-1. I think you said Izzy Mitchell out there. That was a tough play a moment ago on that ball hit by Landis Davila. I guess that's what we're going to call his last name. I don't know. I hear something different every time he's up to bat. But 9-1. Just get 3 outs and get back in here. If Farragut scores 2 runs here, the game is over, and I think we're going to get a balk call. So the chants from the stands, I think, caught the attention of the umpire.
He didn't come set. And that is a balk for Jackson Anderson. They have put 2 on the board here. There's 1 out, and you're right about the play for Izzy. I didn't think Izzy really could make that play because, yeah, it was tough. I wasn't criticizing Izzy. I like Izzy anyway, but and he's done pretty much exactly what they've asked of him. He plays some outfield and doesn't get a chance to bat all the time too. And it's just me. I think every player wants to bat as that pitch is fouled at the plate. And the count is 0-2. 1 out here, 2 in. Farragut on top of the Wildcats, 9-1. Wildcats hoping for a comeback late in the ball game, but if not, Oak Ridge will play again. Somewhere scheduled around 4 o'clock. Hardin Valley and Central are playing next. The Hawks and the Bobcats. You talk about some traditional powers from the 90s here. Oak Ridge and Central representing District 3. Farragut's, they're always good. Like I said, they've won 11 state titles since 1982. Hardin Valley, not a longtime school, but I believe they do have a state championship in baseball, to their credit.
2015, I believe, and guess who they beat? Farragut.
Well, no surprise. If Farragut doesn't win it, they're in it. And they are the defending state champions. That ball is hit foul, off to the right side, and out of play. It's kind of unusual. I don't know who had the connection up here at Carson Newman to get the district or the region tournament moved up here. Central is working the gate, including their athletic director, J.D. Lambert, and others working the gate. I noticed some Carson Newman people working the concession stand, so maybe the trade-off is we'll let you play up here, but we get the concession gate or concession stand money. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I did see Carson Newman people working the concession stand. They've got a Central guy doing the PA and the scoreboard. So Carson Newman has provided the food, and Central has provided the manpower. That pitch is down low, a ball. And the count is 2-2 strikes. Lee Wexler hanging out with us here at Carson Newman. The sun has gone behind the clouds once again. It's almost cool. When the sun goes behind the clouds and the wind blows, it's almost cool.
Yeah, it is. It's been behind the clouds for a minute, and hopefully we're kind of to the base. There's a ball high in the air down the left field line. Looks like it'll go out of play. But, yeah, anyway, we're kind of right underneath, close to being underneath the visiting football bleachers here at Carson Newman, and hopefully maybe later on the sun will get behind the bleachers. Maybe not in this ball game, but it looks like Oak Ridge is probably going to have to come back and play again later today if they can't come back from being down 9-1. But yeah, it feels great when the sun's behind the clouds.
That ball is hit to right field, pretty deep. Camden Welch under it. He makes the catch for out number 2. Sacrifice fly and an RBI, and the Wildcats are down 10-1 now. 10-1 here in the 5th. I broadcast the last time Oak Ridge won a region championship, and that was 30 years ago before Lee was born. And, you know, I've done a lot of sports, a lot of venues. And until football season this last year, I had never broadcast a game from Carson Newman. We did the scrimmage game with Anderson County, who, incidentally, congratulations to them on winning the state championship in football. And now I've broadcast from Carson Newman at their baseball field. So two new venues for me, same location. And those are kind of things that, you know, I enjoy, going new places. If you look at our schedule, it seems like year after year we go to the same old places. But been to Carson Newman twice within a less than a 12-month period, and getting a chance to broadcast. And getting a chance to broadcast a region championship game for the Oak Ridge High School Wildcats. I was a youngster back the last time. That was 30 years ago, 1993. And we've lost every other region game we've played until last night when they beat Hardin Valley, the District 4 champions. Ball's ripped to left and deep and gone. That is a home run, and that is the ball game. The final score, that is a long home run. They send the Farragut Admirals back into the dugout, and the game has come to a conclusion. Congratulations to the Farragut Admirals. They are the 2023 Region 2 champions. They do it on a walk-off bomb over a green monster out in left field. The final score of the ball game, the Wildcats are defeated 11-1. So we will return for a 4 o'clock, maybe later, ball game later on today against either Hardin Valley or the Central Bobcats. If it's Central, it'll be the 5th time this year the two teams have played. And if it's against Hardin Valley, it'll be the 2nd time in less than 24 hours. This is the region tournament. Farragut smokes the Wildcats in the final 2 innings. Wildcats use a ton of pitchers, and Farragut does what Farragut does. They win the ball game, 11-1 the final score. Lee, players and totals of the game, if you're ready to do that, or we'll talk about it, or take a break. What do you want to do?
Oh, we'll keep it right here. You know, first and foremost, I think, you know, thoughts. I mean, you're playing against one of the best teams in the state. You kind of see why they maybe finished 3rd in their district. I thought maybe at first Farragut was a little sloppy, but, you know, as the game kind of went on, you know, Farragut kind of brought the bats came alive for the Admirals kind of there late in the game. I think some pitches were kind of being served up, and we just saw a walk-off home run at the end of the game to make it 11-1 Farragut. And so Farragut is now the Region 2 champions, which means they'll get to play a home sectional game. It'll be a 2 out of 3, so we'll kind of see who they play. It'll be one of those Northeast teams, Science Hill, Daniel Boone, Sevier County, Jeff County, those teams. But, you know, tough outing for the Wildcats. You know, they only get to play 5 innings, and they'll get to play the winner, like you said, David. They'll play the winner of Central and Hardin Valley. And kind of looking down at the sheet here, looking at Farragut here, looking at the hitters. Leadoff guy Lucas Buckner. We kind of talked about what that term free 90 means. So it's a walk or a hit batsman. Lucas Buckner scored 3 of the Admirals' 11 runs today. Lucas Buckner was walked 3 times as the leadoff hitter, was hit by a pitch. Landis Davila, the 2-hole for Farragut, was 1 for 4 with a double, ended up scoring there in the 5th inning, flew out to left field, flew out to right, and then reached on a 4-6 fielder's choice. Jake Merrick had a pair of hits for the Admirals, a double and a single. He scored 2 runs for the Admirals today. Also had a sac fly to right field, which scored a run, and also flew out to center field. The 4-hole, Eli Evans, was walked twice today. He scored back in the 1st inning, struck out swinging, and had a sac fly. So he was 0 for 1 today. As I don't know if our camera, David's going to fix our camera here. Farragut, they, I guess, have been handed the Region 2 championship trophy. They are getting their picture taken, and I think, is that Jack Tate down there holding the trophy, the longtime Bearden coach, who's now decided to move on over to Farragut. So I think he kind of does a lot of stats and a lot of media information. I don't think I follow him on Twitter, but he's posting a lot of stuff, all things Farragut over there. So, but anyway, back to the stats here. Jet Johnston had the walk-off home run there. He only had 3 at bats, had a walk, struck out looking. I'm sorry, Jet Johnston did have 4 at bats. Was 2 for 3, walked in the first, had a single and a home run. Struck out looking. Brennan Siegler had 3 hits, was 3 for 3 today. All 3 were singles. Good day for the UT commit there. And Farragut, they have several commitments. I think you're speaking to the gentleman, your sponsor over here. They have several UT commitments and several Division I commitments. And they returned a lot of players from last year's state championship team. Cooper Scholes, the designated hitter, had a sac fly, was called out back in the 3rd inning for running in the baseline on a sac bunt attempt, was called out and then popped out to the shortstop. Gavin Brewer, the catcher, was 0 for 3, struck out, flew out to right field, and grounded out to 3rd. And then Mark Underwood, the 9-hole hitter, walked all 3 times and scored all 3 times. And so if I'm looking here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players who walked came around to score today for Farragut, and that's just tough. I mean, when you're playing one of the best teams, not just in East Tennessee, but the entire state, the defending champions, as we've said probably many times. We've worn our audience out today, reminding them that Farragut is the defending state champions. But when you walk, when 7 guys that you walk come around to score, I mean, you're making it tough, and that's just a tough day right there. And so I'm going to flip over here. We're going to get a look at some of the stats here for Oak Ridge. Caden Black, tough day at the plate, 0 for 3, struck out twice and grounded out to first. Mikey Teasley singled back in the 3rd. He was 1 for 3, reached all 3 times, reached on an E5 in the 1st and the 5th inning, singled in the 3rd, was able to claim 2nd on an E8 by Siegler. Tyler Pickens, 1 for 3 on the day, flew out to left field. Grounded out to 3rd and had a single there in the 5th inning. Jacob Franklin scored the only run for the Wildcats today, doubled back in the 4th, and his other 2 at-bats he struck out. He was 1 for 3, struck out in the 5th and the 1st. Richie Ferreira was 0 for 2. 1 for 2, doubled back in the 4th and grounded out to 2nd back in the 2nd. Eddie Tan was 0 for 2, flew out to center field and struck out. Jason Slay, 1 for 2, singled in the 2nd and struck out in the 4th. Cam Welch, 0 for 2, 2 flyouts to left field, and then Kyron Welch was 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Looking at the pitching here, Mikey Teasley threw an inning and a 3rd, issued 4 walks, a hit batsman, gave up 2 hits and a strikeout. Jacob Franklin came on in relief, pitched 2 innings, issued 4 walks, gave up 4 hits, 2 strikeouts. John Ulrich came on, got 2 quick outs there. 2/3 of an innings, got 2 quick outs, and then Jackson Anderson surrendered, the walk-off there. Was only able to get 1 out. Let's see here, issued a walk, 2 walks, a double, a fly-out. Actually got 2 outs, so Anderson there, Jackson Anderson was able to get 2 outs before issuing the walk-off home run to Jed Johnston. So, tough outing, good team. Congrats to Farragut. They, once again, for the millionth time, have won a region and are moving on to the sectional. I can't think of a time Farragut didn't make a sectional. I know in 2017, I had a roommate back at UT who played at Jeff County, and this was back in the the 1-game elimination sectionals. They went to Farragut and beat them, beat Farragut on their home field. So that's the only time I can't think of a time Farragut was not in the state tournament. They're looking to go back again this year. They're kind of sitting in the driver's seat. We'll probably look up some scores. Maybe we could share some of that in our next broadcast. We're kind of focusing on Region 1. That'll be the teams that this region will play. And the best Oak Ridge can do now is they will have to travel for the sectional if they are able to win their second game today. Obviously, the objective, it's a step-by-step process. First, you want to win your district, but you want to get to the region. And obviously, winning your district is the number 1 goal. You want to host, and so you want to get to region. That's kind of the main thing. You want to win your district, but you've got to get to the region. So once you get to the region, then it's, okay, moving on to the sectional. And that's something Oak Ridge is looking to accomplish. Couldn't accomplish it here. But that second task, once you get to region, you want to get to sectional. Once you're in sectional, it's 2 out of 3 this year. It used to be a one and done. Now it's 2 out of 3 again. And Oak Ridge, if they're able to win, and hopefully they will be, they're going to have to go on the road, Science Hill somewhere. We'll see. And then after the sectional, once you get to the sectional, it's getting to the state tournaments, getting to Murfreesboro. And then once you're in Murfreesboro, you're in the final 8 teams. And then you're playing for the state championship, double elimination state tournament. And so, it's been a while here for Oak Ridge, getting to a sectional, getting to a state tournament. David, you know the history more than I do. I think you said it's been before I was born since they won a region. I want to say you'll touch more on that. We're up here at Carson Newman. I think we're just waiting on maybe Coach Free or somebody. I think that they're having a team meeting over there. But I'm kind of out of words here, David, and we're going to do another broadcast. And that's kind of all the stats I have so far between this ball game. Farragut victorious, region champions 11-1.
I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk to Coach Free or not. We might hold on for another 5 minutes. He is having a team meeting right now. Final score of the ball game: the Wildcats defeated 11-1. Farragut is the 2023 region championship champions. The Wildcats' last region championship came in '93. It'll have to wait at least another year. The last time we went to the state tournament, though, 51 years ago. 51 years ago, 1972 was the last time that Oak Ridge went to the state tournament. And one of the greatest years, 2 years of Oak Ridge baseball, 71 and 72. It's been a long time. The Wildcats will love to go. I know your alma mater, Riverdale, seems to go year in and year out. Wildcats have had some good teams, but haven't been able to reach the pinnacle of high school baseball. Coach Free's still talking with the guys. I'll put the mic down for a bit, and hopefully he'll be over to speak to me. If not, we'll be back with you somewhere around 4 o'clock when the Wildcats will take on the winner of Central and Hardin Valley. Actually, looks like he's about done. And let's see if we'll get a chance to speak to him. We'll let you swing the camera towards him, and I'll speak off the camera. I'll let you slide out here, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to Coach Free. The final score of the ball game, though, is 11-1. I'm not sure if they're going to go eat or what they're going to do. Let's see if Coach Free is going to come over and talk to me. Take a break. We'll be back in a moment. We appreciate, actually, J.G. Mullins Construction Company, Jared Mullins, for sponsoring our ball game. Mike Kelly with Betsy Coleman Realty, member of the Oak Ridge football staff, former Oak Ridge football player, and Jeff Huckabee, Oak Ridge High School baseball player and football player from the early 90s, will be sponsoring our next ball game. Coach Free is still having a conversation. I don't want to hold us up here because we do have another ball game to do, and I don't want to just continue to talking about nothing. Why don't we just close it out? We'll talk to him after the second ball game. Oak Ridge defeated by Farragut, 11-1 is the final score. Until around 4 o'clock, we'll be back on the air with another broadcast of Wildcat Baseball. This is David Clary for Lee Wexler saying so long, everybody.